So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I'm appreciate everyone who's joined us so far. I know others will be joining us as we go, but I wanted to jump in to take advantage of the half an hour or so that I have with George Conway. I've been really looking forward to this conversation. I'm Steven Beschloss with America, if
Excuse me.
you don't know, and I'm grateful to be talking to George. You know him as a prominent attorney, one of the founders of the Lincoln Project, an important voice on the Bulwark, all over television. And I've tracked George closely since early in Trump's first term when he became not only an important critic but an incisive observer of this man's malignant narcissism and sociopathy and a danger to our republic. And I think we're talking about it. We were talking about it openly and energetically at a time when not many others were were willing to do so.
And still not enough,
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah, and I think that's part of, kind of why we're in the predicament that we are. Too
Absolutely.
many people, too many people in power, too many people in the media, too many
Yeah.
people in positions to name reality who chose to soft pedal it and are part of why, our body politic is in such danger. So let's jump in. I'd like to talk about Minneapolis and the lawless violence of ICE and the expanding police state, the necessity of accountability, Trump's mental state now, and your decision, your most interesting decision to run for Congress. So, if we can, let's start with the news. Greg Bovino, the Border Patrol commander, who was leading the lawless and deadly operation in Minneapolis, has been removed. An acknowledgement by Trump, I would say, that they had to do something to change the dynamic of a obviously furious public and even pushback from a handful of Republicans after the murder of Alex Preddy. So, does Bovino's removal mean anything?
It means that they're starting to feel the heat, but does it really mean a change of direction? I don't think so. I think we've seen so many times in the past where Trump pulls back on something and then a few weeks later, or even a few days later, something worse happens. I mean, it's just, talk about the malignant narcissism.
Yeah,
You can't turn this off, right? I mean, he's perfectly willing to throw somebody under the bus, but frankly, he didn't throw Bovino under the bus. He sent him to California. And the fundamental thing is, it's like Bovino wasn't the problem. It wasn't that Bovino was some kind of rogue actor um, that you can remove and then everything else will
yeah,
work well. I mean, this is a rogue agency. Bovino was a rogue actor. Uh, we have a rogue secretary of DHS, and we have a rogue president, all of whom basically do not give a shit about the law and and they also don't give a shit about immigration enforcement. This isn't really about immigration
yeah,
enforcement. We know that. Pam Bondi, who is also a rogue attorney general, um, basically revealed that by saying, "Hey, you will get ICE out of your way." I mean, who can believe anything they say? I mean, I wouldn't take a promise with them. I mean, it's like, remember Ed Koch said about Donald Trump is I wouldn't trust a promise from him, even if it were notarized. You
mm,
can't take anything they say for real. But this isn't about immigration. This isn't about any of that. This is about acquiring and maintaining power and
yeah,
intimidating people. This isn't just a rogue administration. I mean, that even understates it. I mean, this is a criminal administration.
yeah.
This
It's a
is a
criminal
president.
regime.
It's a criminal regime. It's a criminal president who is a convicted criminal who has committed crimes against the republic in the past during his first term, and he's committing crimes now. And he's also equally important. I mean, high crimes and misdemeanors just doesn't mean statutory crimes like murdering people on the streets of Minneapolis. It also means basically running the government for some purpose other than what it's meant to be run for, which is for the people. Donald Trump is running this government, running the federal government, the United States of America, like a mob operation.
Yeah.
He's the boss. He's running it for the boss and by the boss and of the boss, not for the people, by the people, and of the people. This is not what he thinks the government is for. Government is for him.
Yeah,
Government is for his
enrich
ballroom.
himself, to enrich his family, to put
Absolutely.
in position those that he wants to have power
Right.
and to silence dissent and to use that,
Right.
the
And to
fear and
glorify
intimidation.
himself, the malignant, the king malignant narcissist. I mean, you see that. I don't. Did you see this thing? I just saw it like yesterday. He wants to rebuild Dulles Airport and make it the Donald J. Trump terminal at Dulles Airport. I mean, what the fuck? I
Yeah,
mean, this is like this isn't about helping anybody. He's spending money. He's taking resources that belong to the people that should be devoted to helping people, and he's using them to basically crush. He's using it to crush dissent. He's using it to build mausoleum, basically a giant mausoleum to himself everywhere, and but he wants to cement his legacy. It's all about ego. It's all about power and enriching his friends and in a transactional way. And meanwhile, um, I mean, it's this is. I mean, this is too much. It has to end. And I think what people have to understand. I know this is a very long answer, and I'm rambling
yeah,
on, but you know, this is we Bovino going to California doesn't help this. Even getting rid of Christy Nome doesn't help this.
yeah. Tom
He has to
Homan
go.
comes in. What does
He
that
has to
do?
go. Tom Homan, yeah. I mean, okay. What all that means is what? What is he going to collect some kava bags with cash in them? I mean, what point is that? This doesn't end until Trump and Trumpism ends,
Yeah,
and it has to end as soon as possible because we're not going to last 3 years. We're not going to last 3 years if we don't get rid of this guy. And the framers of the Constitution provided for a mechanism to get rid of an evil,
yeah.
self-serving, grifting tyrant. And
Yeah,
that's
there is
impeachment
something called
removal.
impeachment. There is
Yeah.
something called the 25th Amendment.
Yep.
You
All of
know,
the
it
above.
both seem utterly off the table, sort of given the success that he's had at frightening the members of the Republican Party. So, I mean, look, let's stick with Minneapolis for a minute because I think it's so illustrative of what both sort of what we need fellow Americans to do, which is to record these abuses and also to stand up and express that they oppose it, and they do it in the most clear and vivid ways. But that letter, I want to focus on that letter from Pam Bondi because, as you suggest, it really exposes his true objective. And it was, for those who don't know, it was essentially an extortion letter, right? There was a
Absolutely.
series of demands that were made if you want to maintain the rule of law, and there was at least a suggestion that they would pull out some of the agents if these demands were met. And one of them, and I think the most stunning one, was that they wanted the voter rolls, they wanted the database, personal data on the voters of Minnesota, which tells you that this is much more about being able to manipulate the midterms.
No, that is absolutely what it is about. It is about the acquisition of power and the maintenance of power. I mean, this isn't about Minnesota is not near the border. The people that they've been killing, the two people they've killed were citizens.
Yeah,
They're harassing citizens left and right. This isn't an immigration enforcement operation. You wanted to, it's funny. It happens in a state that didn't vote for Trump. I mean,
yeah,
look, this is about political retribution, and it's about the exercise of power in a brutal way. This is what ICE is becoming it's becoming the SA and the SS
yeah,
for this fascist regime, and that's really what this is becoming. And they're testing it out, and they're trying it out,
and they're
and
doing
they
it as
want to
they
spend what $50 billion to expand immigration enforcement. That's not what this is about. They're
right,
trying to
and
create
it's
a police force, a national police force that they can use, that's responsible to them, that they can tell these people, you we have your back. You're immune. You're not going to, you shoot a woman in the face in an SUV, an unarmed woman, you get off, and we're going to investigate her wife.
mm,
You shoot, you shoot a guy who was just taking video. Okay. And we're going to investigate his family and his connections. All right. And you get to go off scot free. And this is fascism. This is right out of the fascist playbook. It's not even arguable anymore. It is like, if we don't use these words to describe what is happening now, we're misleading people.
Yeah.
This is happening here and now. Now, I mean, I get so people we're saying this could happen. This could happen. We've been talking about that for years. This is where it's headed. And people were saying, oh, come on, you're being over dramatic. Well, we are here
Yeah.
now.
I mean, look, I posted something today. This happens to be a Holocaust Remembrance Day. I made a point of saying, for all those who were thinking this couldn't happen here, for all those who were thinking that, what would I do if I were in Nazi Germany? Well, you're living in Trump's
Right.
America now,
This is
and
the
and this
test.
is your
Yes.
moment right now to
Yes.
decide what would you do
Yep. No, and that's the
while we
kind of
still have
scary thing
time
about
to
it.
do
We always
something.
wondered. I mean, this is the thing. It's like, what would you have done? What would you have done if you lived in the Netherlands in 1944? Right? What would you do, what would you have done? It's like, well, this is, you know, it's not as dangerous right now for most people as it
Right.
was for those people in the Netherlands in 1943 and 44. But you know, we're going to get there if you don't stand up now while you can.
Yeah.
And I just what scares me most about I mean, it's a lot of things that
Hmm.
keep me up at night. Well, what cares most is like even people here who are not MAGA, they're liberals. A lot of them still don't quite get it.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I get all the issues that they're concerned with, and I agree with a lot of it, but it's like we don't get to talk about anything in a rational way to figure out how to solve actual problems that we have that go beyond Trumpism without getting rid of Trumpism. We just can't. I mean, it's just a total. We have to get this country back on the right track soon, or we won't be able to get it back for a long time.
So I want to get to how where we're going to get to in the midterms, and then where we're going to get in 3 years if we survive that long.
Yeah.
Let me linger one more moment on what legislators are doing. Right today, you had Hakeem Jeffries talking about Democrats saying that Kristi Noem needs to be impeached. Is it in the realm of possibility? And again, does it really matter given
Well,
what we're talking about?
here's my view on impeachment and removal. All right, I get that there aren't the votes now.
Mm,
I get that the Republicans are, you know, are spineless and craven and shameless and grifting and cowardly and they had two opportunities to take Trump and put him out of business, and two opportunities that were missed, even though in 2021 Mitch McConnell thought that what Trump had done was criminal. He basically
right.
said as much. um, and but we can't give up. We have to bang the drums on not just Kristi Noem being impeached, but Trump.
Yeah.
These are impeachable offenses being committed every day of the week. The entire government, the maladministration of the government, the corrupt administration of this government. If the impeachment clauses do not cannot provide for the impeachment and removal of basically this entire administration,
Yeah.
then we might as well just toss them out of the Constitution and toss the Constitution out with it. And so I think it's, even though, the votes aren't there, the clamor has to be there. The
Yeah.
position has to be, this isn't about politics. It's not about vote counting. This is a moral imperative. And
Yeah.
we have
It's
to
a
speak
moral
to that and
imperative.
say, and basically make the case, even if and shame the Republicans who are absolutely shameless. And if we don't make this case, we have to make this case to make people understand this is what we are. This is what's at stake. The whole country, the whole Constitution is at stake, and this is what the midterms have to be about.
Yeah.
We get to the midterms.
Yeah.
So I basically believe in full on talking about impeachment and removal now, because frankly, I'm worried we won't last 3 months, let alone 3 years.
Yeah.
And
So
and so I think the pressure we have to make this part of the discourse, because people have now kind of given up that impeachment isn't a real thing and removal isn't a real thing. It has to be, or else we're done.
yeah. So you've got, again, those who are in the political arena of the Congress, talking about the minor, I would say the minor reforms to Homeland Security and to ICE operations, rather than the abolition of it. I mean, they're talking about, real things, right? The necessity of Homeland Security cooperating with state investigations. Border Patrol goes back to the border. You require warrants for arrest, things like the rule of law. You require IDs and body cams, and ISIS stays out of churches and schools, which all sound like useful reforms. But again, what do you do when you've got a collection of people who are basically operating business as usual, thinking that these incremental responses are the correct response at a time like this?
Incremental responses are not the answer now. I mean, not to criticize incremental responses. I agree that all of the things that you mentioned would be good things, but the problem is we can't look at the Epstein files, right? There's a statute that says these things have to be produced, and they had to be produced in I don't know how many weeks it was. Where are they?
Mm,
Okay, we can't. The
yeah,
fundamental problem
more
is
than a
this
month later.
administration cannot be trusted to obey the law. It will not obey the law. It may pretend occasionally to talk about obeying the law, but it won't obey the law. So if we pass incremental measures and make them law, what makes it wait? What makes anybody think that's going to make a difference? The fundamental problem is we have an executive who's a fucking criminal.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
yeah,
And okay, after he's gone, and after Christy Nome is gone, and after all the Bovinos and ICE are gone, which you probably have
Stephen
to
Miller.
take to scrap the entire agency and rebuild it, okay, then we can have all these reforms.
Yeah,
Because then, and that's the way I view what has to happen now. First priority is impeachment and removal of this government. Full stop,
yeah.
because we can't survive until 2029, January 20th,
So this
2029. And then
conversation
once we
happened.
get to a normal government, then we have to pass laws to make sure none of this ever happens again. Protection of the justice, make sure that the Justice Department can't be abused. Make sure that that CBP and ICE we have to get rid of ICE, and make sure that immigration enforcement can't be abused. Strengthen immigration enforcement in a rational and
Hmm,
normal and humane way, which means hiring immigration judges to judge these cases, so that we can actually do what we are supposed to be doing, handling immigration cases fairly, instead of just taking people off the streets and kidnapping them and sending them to fucking El Salvador. All right, I mean, there are so many things that need to be done, but we can't
yeah.
get there
Yeah. So
until
why do
these
you think
people are
there's
gone.
been such a failure of will on the part of Congress? And I'm even just talking about the Democrats now. The feckless Republicans. We can go on all day about, but the unwillingness to think. Let's just say creatively. And to think with aggressive responses that actually do something.
You know, I think there is a certain amount. We talk about this metaphor. People talk about the metaphor a lot about the frog boiling in water. I think a lot of people out there, and this is something I was mentioning earlier, maybe before we were on, but it's like
Yeah.
I'm not sure a lot of people whose hearts are in the right place fully get how dangerous this moment is from a historical standpoint. I think a lot of people woke up last week, in the last 2 weeks because of Minnesota.
Right.
But
And
but my
heard the
right,
lies, they heard the bald-faced
yeah,
lies
the absolute lies, right? And that's
that was
that's right out
unavoidable.
of the fascist playbook. It's right out of the fascist playbook. Lie about everything. Lie about things people can see with their own
Yeah,
eyes. Okay, gaslight everybody. I mean, this is extreme stuff. This is classic fascist authoritarian techniques, and I think it's sort of hard for us who have lived in a nice country where things are normal, where people behave generally decently,
yeah,
to see how evil and how dangerous these people are. I mean, all that stuff, the Holocaust, not the Nazis, the fascists in Italy, Russia with Putin, all the examples here, Chile with Pinochet, all these examples that you can pick throughout history. It's like, Those are other places in other countries at other times. That could never happen here. And we have that mentality.
Yeah.
Not just, we have that
Comfort.
mentality, including some very good people, including lots of liberals. We have the mentality that it could not happen here. And that's just wrong because
It's
this
happening
is a
here.
problem with the human race. We are not we are capable of evil things, and if we kind of close our eyes to the evil or let the evil creep up on us, you can get to the point where it's too late.
Yeah.
The historical record on this is frightening because you see, if you look and start looking at all the parallels. I mean, yeah. Look at all the things we've just seen in the last year. People being taken off the streets and sent to basically what's the equivalent of a. I'm not going to use the word death camp, but it's a concentration camp in El Salvador
Yeah.
without due process.
Yeah.
People being shot on the streets of Minneapolis. um, the president of the United States acting like a tin pot dictator and trying to say, "I want to lock the Trump to Trump in Washington." All of these things, this stuff is we are so off the rails here, but it happens so slowly, and Trump is such a clown. It's like it's hard to believe that
Well, and there's
he's
something called
dangerous.
normalcy bias, and normalcy bias leads people to say it couldn't possibly be as bad as people are imagining.
Absolutely
It
right.
surely can't be that there will be this catastrophe. That feels like an exaggeration, and it's really not touching my life.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And psychologists, I think, or social, I don't know which field it is that there's a term called malignant normality,
Mm,
where things that
mm,
are absolutely horrific and terrible become normal and commonplace,
yeah,
just because they creep up on you, and well, it happened yesterday, so I'm still here, and that's we are developing. We are
the
in malignant normality.
adaptation to a perverse reality.
Right, a perverse reality. One of the things I tell people, I've been telling people to watch since 2019 to talk about malignant normality
Yeah.
is the movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it, the movie Downfall,
Yeah, oh,
which
yeah.
which is it's a German language movie, absolutely
The
brilliant.
the
It's the one
last
where
week of Hitler in the
the
bunker.
last week in the Führer bunker, and that's where you get all the memes about when you see Hitler raging at his generals, and then they
Yeah,
make it about something else. That's where that scene is from. It's like that's malignant normality, and
but
that is like. And you know, I remember thinking even during Trump one, it's like when I was married to a senior counselor at the White House, and I was thinking she goes into a malignant normality every fucking day.
yeah.
And it creeps up on your mind and it corrupts your mind and people get used to it. And that's how we ended up with a Trump too, is
So
people got used to it.
So let's talk for I wanna turn to talking to you about you running for Congress, but what I wanna do first is I wanna talk about the issue of accountability because it's at the heart of what you're describing, the need to hold this whole regime accountable, the need to hold Donald Trump accountable. Let me talk for a quick moment first about downfall because, one of the things that I've carried all my life is the feeling that, Adolf Hitler killed himself in the bunker and he was never held accountable. He wasn't in Nuremberg, the justice was never served. But
Right.
but when you watch Downfall, my experience was a weird, maybe a perverse kind of uplift because at least in those last days, he knew that everything that he had done had gone to shit. So at least
Absolutely.
you had the sense that this man knew that, with all of his, visions of grandeur of the thousand-year Reich, that it all
Mhm.
finally went to shit.
And
And
but they also, the other aspect of it, of the malignant narcissism that
mm,
we also see in Trump is, if I couldn't win, if I couldn't do this, and if you won't let me rule the world, I'm going to take the rest of the world with me, right? Remember the scene where Albert Speer comes in and says, Mein Führer, I have not executed your orders to destroy the factories and the bridges, right? The so-called Nero order. And, that it was Hitler wanted to basically destroy his own country at the end
yeah,
because it failed him.
yeah,
And every time I think of that scene, I think of what Mitch fucking McConnell said on February 13, 2021, when he was saying, "Oh, don't worry that we just acquitted this guy. He's subject to the criminal process." He talked about Trump basically after losing the election, he wanted to torch the place on the way out.
Yeah.
And that's what January 6th was.
Yeah.
And it's the same sickness. And it gets worse and worse and worse. It has to be stopped now.
So let's talk about your running for Congress. In your launch video, you said, "This is no ordinary time, clearly, and I will not be an ordinary member of Congress." Well, anybody who's been listening so far knows that you won't be an ordinary member of Congress. So what kind of member of Congress will you be?
Um, Not a 30-year member of Congress.
Mhm.
I'm 62 years old. I never thought seriously about running for public office until basically the middle of November 2025. Um, I want to basically go in there, and accountability is what it's about. That's two things. One is accountability, and accountability means impeach and remove, and get rid of as
And
many
that
people
starts right after the midterms.
right after the midterms, and I even push for it before. It's
Yeah,
like this has to be the singular issue and focus of the is getting ending this criminal regime
yeah,
with the legal process that the framers gave us to do this. And that's going to require, I mean, it's going to require winning some Republicans over, but it's going to require, first and foremost, it's going to require a Democratic Congress. And I think there will be a Democratic Congress. I think there will be a heavily Democratic Congress at the rate we're going here.
yeah,
Ted Cruz thinks that, as
yeah,
we know from what we saw the other day in Axios. All right. It cannot be just, oh well, let's just see how things go, and maybe we if we have the votes we'll do no. It has to be the singular purpose of Congress to exercise its constitutional and moral authority, and frankly its obligation
yeah. Well, the
to
survival of the
remove
republic.
criminals from public executive office, period, full
So
stop.
you've
That's
also
that's
talked.
point one. And then point
Okay.
two is, after we've done that, um, we have to pass a whole slew of bills to take, like the Watergate reforms on steroids, and as a matter of law, and creating mechanisms to enforce those. And that's going to be a lot, and that's all lawyering. Both of the things I'm talking about are lawyering. Okay, we're talking.
Laws to push back against
Yes,
authoritarianism
right.
and
Law
safeguard
to make sure
democracy.
to create more safeguards that are in the system, in our law, to make it harder for this to ever. I mean, so that this doesn't happen ever again. And and both of this, and that's why I felt like, what somebody basically suggested, well, why don't you run? And it's like, yeah, well, I guess I have those, I have the skills for it, right? I'm a
Yeah,
lawyer. This is prosecuting a case. Off, holding people accountable is prosecuting a case, whether it be holding hearings, or being an impeachment manager on the floor of the Senate. Okay, I have the skills for that, and I want to help people like Jamie Raskin,
yeah,
do that. And that's one reason. And the second one also is lawyering. So I know people don't like lawyers, but people. We need people who can do what needs to be done from an investigative, and a legislative drafting standpoint, which both was heavy lawyering, and we need people who are just absolutely positively, have no fucks to give.
yeah,
And that's where I come in. It's like, I don't want to do this I'm 62 years old. I don't want to be, I don't want a career in politics. If I wanted a career in politics, I would have started 35, 40 years ago. And I don't want to do that. I
yeah,
want to do something because it's like, I guess, like I want to leave it out there on the field. I've tried to do a lot over the last 7 or 8 years, speaking out and
yeah,
drawing attention and trying to show that, it's coming from my perspective. I think it had some power to it. With Bulwark and everything like
but
that,
you've
similar
had the
similar concept.
freedom to do it in a way that I
Right.
would think you get into office, will you have that same freedom?
I don't care about losing an election. It doesn't matter to me. It's not my fucking career. I don't want to be a politician. Okay? It's like if it's like it doesn't that I'm not it I have, I don't have any fucks to give
Yeah.
basically.
So let
And I'm not gonna shy away from saying what I think has to be
yeah.
done with this guy.
So one thing
I'm
about
gonna be a pain in the ass about that.
one thing about the race. So, you get criticism that you're not really a Democrat. You used to be a Republican. How do you respond to that? And, why the 12th district where among your opponents is the grandson of JFK, right?
All
Jack
right. Well,
Schlossberg.
I was living and working in this district probably before he was born. Okay. I, I first came to New York in 1988. Actually, I clerked for a court here in New York in 1987. I first moved to New York in 1988. I made my career here, 52nd Street and 6th Avenue, for 30 years at a law firm midtown, and I lived multiple places in this district and had a home multiple places in this district for a quarter century.
Yeah,
And two of my four kids were born in the district, and two of them were born like 50 feet outside of the district because 97th Street is the cutoff. All right, so
you're not a
that's my ties with.
carpetbagger.
I'm not. No, what I'm not. Look, I mean, people come to New York and then they leave and they come back, and it's like anyway.
Yeah, Hillary
And that's
Clinton didn't live in, came to New York to become a
Well,
U.S.
I mean,
senator.
talk about the Kennedys. I mean, well, but Bobby Kennedy. Well, he parachuted in and became a United States senator, and everybody
Yeah,
loved that. That's fine. I mean, I'm not Bobby Kennedy, but it's just like it's not. New York
there's
isn't the
a
kind of place
history.
where the carpetbagger argument works. And as far as being, I became a Republican when the Republican Party was a different kind of thing. It was a
Mm,
totally different kind of thing. It wasn't the cultish, crazy thing that it became today. It was I became a Republican at a time when Ronald Reagan was friendly with Tip O'Neill, and they did things like they passed tax reform together. Okay, I mean that was a different. It was just a different era, and the Republican Party left me, and I don't I mean, I don't see that. I don't really feel there are a lot of differences between me and mainstream Democrats at this
yeah,
point. None that are worth none, and certainly none that compare to um, the differences between this fascist cultist party on the other side.
yeah.
So
I mean, there's only one party committed to democracy.
there's only
That's
one party.
obvious.
The other is a cult.
Yeah,
I mean, it's insane, and that's I don't know what I could be at this point other than that. And I spent all last year trying to elect Democrats. Spent a lot of my time and a lot of money.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, it just this is the logical conclusion.
yeah. So, you know, how will your life change if you win, and do you think you're going to win?
I think we have a good chance. I think that if you talk to people and ask them questions, poll them. They talk about they. I think people in this district in particular, which is the most, really a very highly educated district, people do get that Trump is problem number uno dos and tres. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like literally they get that. I do think more people need to get that. But I think that the people who are most highly motivated are actually the people who get like what danger we are and
yeah,
highly motivated to vote. I think there's those people are the most likely to understand what the danger is and understand the priority needs to be getting rid of Trump. And that's one thing, and it's a wide open race. It's just a wide open race. There's just a lot of people running, and and I'm not denigrating any of the other people. I think
yeah,
it's great that some people want to see a careers in public service the way I did not 30 years ago. But I do think, as I said in the launch video, this is
yeah,
a special time,
yeah.
and
This
I
is a
view myself as kind of like a special teams player to come in
yeah.
there and help make things normal again, so that other people could come in and they could spend the next 30 years doing what they want to do.
Yeah, well, it's like Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister, said, we're facing a rupture, not a transition.
Right.
These are times to tell the truth. These are times to name reality, and
Absolutely.
and we need people in power who are telling the truth and who are naming the reality and who are not afraid of standing up to a malignant bully,
Yep.
a sociopath who is committed to the destruction of the country as we've known it, and he's in an aggressive march to do it, and his cognitive and physical decline are accelerating, which puts us in more danger. And as it accelerates, his desire for maximum power seems to be increasing. And you put all that together, and it's hard to see how we survive the next three
Yeah.
years, which is why we do need people, we do need people like you, George, who are willing to tell the truth and name reality and speak out loudly and clearly, whether they're in office or whether
Yeah.
they're
No,
not in office.
everything you just said, I'm George Conway and I approve your message. Okay. Right there.
So my
um,
last thing I want to ask you, so, how does the country recover from Donald J. Trump? Has the cancer metastasized? Has the narcissism and the cruelty and the attraction to violence escalated in such a way that the destruction of our norms and laws and so forth been violated to such an extent that recovery is going to be a decades-long project?
it's going to be a long project. Absolutely. I mean, we're basically rebuilding. We're going to have to, talk about the laws that need to be enacted, but we're kind of rebuilding civic virtue from the bottom up. And yeah, that's going to take a while, but if we don't start soon and we don't get rid of the problem now, we may never be able to do it. And one of the reasons why I'm running is I believe we can do it. But I don't think we have a lot of time to get started on that.
Yeah.
I think we're running out of time, and that's also the reason why I'm running. And I should be, I'm a retired lawyer. I'm 62 years old. I should be off skiing somewhere in Park City right now, or on a beach somewhere. Um, and but
Well, this is a time, this is a
I don't,
time.
I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't try to throw myself into it in every way I could. So
Yeah, and I say it to you, and I say it to everybody who's listening. This is a time when all of us, in whatever way you can, need to stand up, need to speak out, need to speak as truthfully as you can, need to name, the danger that has beset us, and to do whatever you can in whatever way you can, whether it's protesting the streets of Minneapolis or Chicago or New York City
yep,
or everywhere in
yep,
America, whether it's writing letters, whether it's posting on social media to try to influence some of your neighbors, but
yep.
and be kind to your neighbors in whatever way you can. But it's absolutely critical that everyone tries to do their part right now.
Absolutely. And let me throw one last thing in because, this is politician 101. I'm getting a crash course in that. And I have advisors who are basically teaching me how to be a politician,
Yeah.
which I never thought
Good
I'd ever
luck.
become. Please go to www.georgeconwayforcongress.com. And if you want to be generous, please do that and give a contribution. It's expensive running here. And I would really be honored to have the help of your viewers.
Thank you, George. Fair enough. I think that was your obligation to do it.
www.georgeconwayforcongress.com. I have to get it in twice or else
There
they're
you
going to
go.
get mad at me.
And George, I don't know if it's next year or if it's in 3 years, but I'll see you in Nuremberg.
Yeah, okay. We'll be the prosecutors.
There you go. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, George, and thanks
Great.
for everyone for
Thanks.
joining us.
Thank you, Stephen. It was really great.
Cheers.
Bye bye.